I know you said that for this type of conversation, we need to start talking. By we, I mean America needs to start talking to President Xi, President Putin, the leaders of Iran. What would those conversations look like? Because right now, U.S. relations with those countries are frosty at best.
I think we need to de-escalate tensions with those countries. I think, our country, our big mistake has been projecting military power abroad rather than economic power. We shouldn't be scared to compete with those countries economically and all around the world. But instead, we've spent $8 trillion over the past 20 years bombing bridges, ports, schools, in war after war after war. Every country that we've acted in is worse off than we found it. Americans are less safe in our own country and all around the world. We have fewer freedoms because of our military activities abroad. Our economy is now threatened because of BRICS and because of the refugee crisis that we created in Europe through the Syrian and the Iraqi war. We sent 4 million refugees into Europe and destabilized every government, all the Western democracies in Europe. We ended up creating Brexit, with Britain leaving the European Union, all as the result ultimately of the Iraq and Syrian war. We created ISIS. We drove Iraq into a proxy posture with Iran, exactly the foreign policy outcome that we've been trying to avoid for 25 years. A war has not served us well. It has been a catastrophe for our economy. We have hollowed out the American middle class at home. We should be spending $65 billion not in Ukraine, enriching Northrop Grumman and Boeing and Lockheed, but bringing that home and paying for childcare, for which the returns of an investment for childcare. For every $1 million you spend on childcare, there's 18 jobs created. For every $1 million you spend on the military, there's 2 jobs created. We need to invest that money we're spending on things that actually grow our economy rather than things that shrink it. And war does not grow it. War is an orphaned investment. The Chinese today, well, we've spent $8 trillion bombing bridges and ports and roads. They've spent $8 trillion building them, and they now have friends all over the world. They're the principal creditor in virtually every nation in Latin America, every nation in Africa. And they're making friendships and investments and getting returns on investments in those countries. And we ought to be doing that, not them. We ought to be competing with them, which would be good for everybody in the world. Nobody wants to see a hot war between us and China, between us and Russia.
I,
People want to see competition, and that will be good for the whole world.